I'm really pleased and honored to present my report as rapporteur of this file. This report comes after 8 meetings that we have in the shadow groups, where we have had the opportunity to listen to all the stakeholders, to interact with them, and I think that we have received very valuable inputs for our coming debate. I'd like to start by emphasizing once again the scale of the challenge of child sexual abuse and child sexual abuse online. Whatever indicator you can choose, an appalling reality emerges. And I think it's important because if we are not aware of the problem we face, we probably won't be aware of our responsibility as legislators. And I'm sure that all of us share the same concern. But also it's important that we are aware of this problem in order to put in place effective measures for the protection of children. This is not a regulation intended primarily to hunt down predators. This is not a law enforcement file. This is essentially about protecting children who have been abused, have been assaulted, have been raped. This is about protecting lives that can be ruined and often are ruined. This is about protecting children from harassment, humiliation, and physical and psychological devastation. So let me tell you that labeling this proposal as chat control is a regrettable way to play down the importance of our debate. I think it's seriously misleading, and it's an irresponsible distortion of what all this is about. This is Parliament, and legislation cannot be discussed on the basis of tabloid press headlines. As European Union, we do legislate for our member states, but also we can set global standards. In this case, on child protection against sexism. Well, this regulation is the opportunity to do so. We are at the beginning of the process. There is a lot to be addressed, and I count on my colleagues, shadow rapporteurs, and the committees involved to improve the proposal and to build a broader consensus. I think both aims are achievable, and I think that we have to deliver on both. Let me touch upon the main elements of my report. And first, as you know, I welcome the Commission proposal. I think we welcome the fact that we have a proposal to discuss because we all recognize the need for long-term regulation on sexism. And let me acknowledge the commitment shown by Commissioner Johansson in this matter, which goes far beyond any ideological or political divide. We need to shift from a voluntary framework for combating sexism to a mandatory one. This will be a crucial step forward because we know that very few companies have made the most of the legal tools given to them in the interim regulations. There are far too many which seem unaffected and have ignored their duties, be it for the kind of business model they develop, for reputational reasons, or whatever the reason we might think. Risk assessment is central to the functioning of the regulation. It was introduced, as you know, by the DSA, and my proposal considers a complementary risk assessment focused on sexism. Risk assessment will be also the basis for the adoption of mitigation measures according to the risks that have been detected in every service offered by internet companies in the European Union. Detection orders should be the last resort. We all agree on that. But if we want detection orders to be the last resort, then we have to reinforce the alternative options. That's why I propose that companies that are willing to adopt voluntary measures are allowed to do so on the basis of an authorization by the competent national authority, with no need to go through the procedure of the detection orders, or let's say mandatory detection orders. In our previous meetings, I have noticed a unanimous support for stronger prevention measures. And I would add that there should be no only prevention measures, but prevention strategies in the broader sense of this expression. I have tried to make proposals accordingly, and I am open to further proposals in this matter that I'm sure that political groups will produce. Victims and survivors have the right to be involved, and I want to be particularly clear in this aspect, because I'm not saying that all victims and survivors feel the same about their horrendous experience they have gone through. And I'm not saying that all victims would accept or would like the visibility. And certainly not all victims find themselves in the same stage of the long healing journey, which is often painful and difficult. But victims and survivors, they do deserve our support, and we need them to fight racism effectively. That's why I propose the establishment of a Victims and Survivors Consultation Forum. This forum should be associated to the management of the European Centre, to be listened to be given the opportunity to express their views and provide the added value of their own personal fight against abuse. I am fully aware of the need to put in place safeguards to prevent and redress the potential negative impact of measures adopted to detect and remove racism in all the instances, that is, known material, newly produced racism and grooming. I would ask you to assess, without prejudging, the safeguards that I propose, both substantial and procedural. I have taken on board literally a number of recommendations put forward by the EDPS. Its opinion has been taken into account in the drafting of my report, and it will continue to be a valuable reference in our coming discussion. But also, let me add that there is no general monitoring obligation. And I repeat, there is no general monitoring obligation imposed by this regulation, and certainly not in my report. There is no one-size-fits-all approach, but a nuanced and specific approach on the basis of risk assessment of every service, followed by specific mitigation measures for each service, using technologies that will have to be cleared by the competent authority, technologies that will operate without having access to the content of the communications and without weakening the integrity of encryption. Detection orders and mitigation measures are limited in time, will be decided upon by a judicial authority or other independent authority, and detection will be limited to an identifiable part or component of a service, such as a specific channel of communication or a specific group of users. Human review and intervention of the DPS will play a key role in the deployment of technologies to detect new racism and grooming. And finally, the EU Centre will be the cornerstone of the new framework. In my report, following the lines of the Batch Committee, I have reassigned tasks to strengthen the role of the Management Board, and additionally, I have introduced proposals to clarify the task of the Centre and the relation between Europol and the Centre along the lines which were recommended by the EDPS. So, dear colleagues, what is illegal offline shall be illegal online. And I think that this is the underlying duty we have to take up. We can and must deliver on this. We can and must deliver on the expectations of the citizens in order to make internet a safe place, a safe environment for children. So I do look forward to working with you, as we have been doing over the last few weeks in our Shadows group. And I'm convinced that a final and broad agreement is possible because it is necessary for the sake of the protection of children, which is the main and the only goal of this fight. Thank you.